It was
There you
cool.
go.
I don't know if she's going to be able to get on, Ken. I had a conversation with Alicia Simpkins out of Chico, California. I don't know if you know that name.
I don't.
So it was wild. This is the beautiful thing about KW that everyone should know by now, or if they don't, they're sure going to learn quickly, is how open our community is and how genuine we are about pouring into one another and making each other stronger. So Alicia, I met Alicia at family reunion as well. It was funny. She was sitting behind me at the Sean Acor presentation, I think where I grabbed you. And she was helping me save seats. It was funny because our team was a little late. And she was passing me, her and her team were passing me. I mean, it was funny. I had like a granola bar, a sheet of paper, anything that was in her handbag to save seats.
Yeah.
We got to talking. So she's going to pour in and do a class for us in June. And she's pretty special. Her whole shtick, it's not a shtick, obviously, it's a journey, but now last year she sold 93 homes. And she doesn't work past 2:30 and only works Monday through Thursday. So if that doesn't get everyone's attention really quickly, it should. But obviously there's a journey to get to that point. And she made her first talent hire last year. She sold 93 homes working Monday through Thursday with an executive assistant. And
that's amazing. Yeah, that's a call to be on right there.
No doubt. So I'm excited, and she's happy to. I mean, that's the beauty, right? She's like, yeah, I remember you. I remember saving seats. Build a relationship, and she's happy to dial up and pour into us. And that's been sort of my call to action of late, is hearing from people that are powerful outside of our sphere, which is very powerful, but it's always about R&D, rip off and duplicate and take from others what they do well and make it our own. And you certainly do video well. So thanks for taking the time.
Yeah.
And everyone, thanks for having your videos on. I'll tee this up really quickly, Ken, and then you can take it away.
Sounds good.
So what I loved about Ken's story is he's a transplant, a Detroit Rock City guy that moved with the family to Orlando. Did you have one child when you made that move, Ken, or were you single parent or a swinging single guy with the wife?
No, I was married 15 years now.
Okay, congrats.
Thanks.
So you make the move to Florida, and within 6 years, you're already committed to doing 200 million in volume this year. To me the other day, I wrote that down. So that's a commitment. But amazing to move from Detroit to an entirely new market in the 6 years, build a team. The Real Trends has you at medium. You can get into the dynamics of your team and the organizational structure as you speak, but to go from a new market to 200 million in volume this year is remarkable. And what I liked yesterday is we pre-call planned, and we talked about a very specific agenda to keep this engaging and formulaic in a way. And I couldn't agree more. So I came from the corporate sphere. I literally joined and opened up a Facebook account when I got into real estate 4 years ago, because in the corporate world, it was all about the commodity, the price, and the product, and not the people. And I had to learn quickly that I needed to build a brand and a presence on social media and be consistent with content, engaging with content, routine with content, genuine with the delivery. And that's what we talked about yesterday, how you became a student of this strategy, and be massively consistent. That was pillar 2, and pillar 3 was converting, right? Because what good is being a student of a craft, being massively consistent at that craft if it's not leading to conversion?
Yep.
And then leverage, and that's where you got into your organizational structure. So if that's cool, I think that's how we'll frame it up today. And you were cool enough to give me the keys to that car and say we're going to do it that way. So the floor is yours, man.
Well, yeah, Mitch, I appreciate you having me out and just giving me some time to share with your people. And for all of these that are on the call, thank you so much for being here, being committed to growing something new with your business. I think that anytime we dive into something, new, it can be a little bit scary. But the cool thing is, like, there's been people now that have gone before you to be successful in what we're going to talk about today. So thanks so much for teeing up sort of our journey. I've been in Orlando for 6 years now. My team and I, last year, we closed 129 million, 283 sides. This year, we've already put under 223 sides for 118 million. That was our numbers as of this morning, year to date. So right on track for that $200 million goal. And a lot of that comes from YouTube. It also comes from our database and sphere referral. And so this is the one thing I want you to take away, is that, we've all been indoctrinated in the best way about, the one thing, and our one thing has become video marketing. And through that, it's made everything else easier or unnecessary. And so if you're looking to scale your business up, you're looking to get get more agent referrals, more database referrals, more organic leads that you don't have to pay for, building an asset that Zillow can't take away from you. All of that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. And so the best things for you guys is to make this as interactive as possible. So we have the chat open. Make sure if you have questions, you're either raising your hand or putting it down below. You can start now, and as we're going through it, I'll make sure we, we bring you in and answer those questions. But essentially, when I first moved here in Orlando, I started on the journey of buying Zillow leads, buying pay-per-click leads, buying radio spots. I had all of these kind of things. I've been in real estate for 17 years. And so I knew all of the channels that could potentially be. And so when I started over in a new area, I was like, hey, I've got a little bit of money. I'm going to go ahead and just, buy leads and see how that works. I had never done that before. I was more like database driven, agent referral driven, open houses, farming, and that kind of thing. So I don't know why I decided to all of a sudden pivot when I moved here to go somewhere else. But after about 6 months and blowing through about $120,000, I was like, this is not for me. This is not going to work. So at the time, a friend of mine was just like, just go back to what open houses, that stuff works, just bare basics. He goes, but at the same time, I've been doing this thing on YouTube and I've got 1,000 subscribers now. And I get calls from time to time where people are like, hey, we want to use you as our agent. And this guy's in another part of Florida. And I was like, how much does that cost to be on YouTube and do that? He's like, it's free. It's literally like my cell phone and me editing and just doing it. And I was like, shoot, I could do that. So I cut off all my marketing spend. Brass tacks, just went back to what I knew, which is just door knocking, open houses, and then also started on this YouTube journey. And so then fast forward to today, over 40% of our business comes directly from people that reach out to us and say, hey, I've been following you for the past year, the past 2 years, past 24 hours, and we want to use your team as our real estate agent. And it's been pretty incredible. So let's talk about, I guess, that little bit of a journey on how you can get started on those 4 pillars that Greg was so kind to kind of bring out. Like, first, you need to know, the first of the 4 pillars I like to talk about is like understanding the thing, like understanding what that's going to be in your business, like video wise. I like YouTube because it's owned by Google. And when people are typing in moving to Florida or moving to Orlando or moving to whatever, I want to show up. And so, Greg, remind me, where are we coming? Where are you coming to me from today in the world?
Suburb of Philadelphia. Suburb of
Philly. Yeah. So if people are moving to Philadelphia, or moving within Philadelphia, you want to be found. You want to be able to be organically reached. And the cool thing is, there's 25 people on this call. There's 25 different personalities and perspectives and, backgrounds. And so the amazing thing is, like, you could all go out and shoot a video moving to Philly and understanding that, like, you're not shooting a video to be like the agent that everybody wants to choose. You're just trying to be that sort of humble concierge in Philly. And the amazing thing about that is that everybody's going to resonate with somebody different on this call. And so even if you go out there and you all shoot the same video, it's going to be shot in a different way with a different perspective. And there's going to be that stay-at-home mom that resonates really well with somebody else. There's going to be that business corporate exec that's going to resonate really well with Greg. And so there's going to be just different personalities. So understanding that really well. The second thing about YouTube is that you're shooting content for the algorithm. You're shooting content for search engine optimization. It's not shooting 123 Main Street, your newest listing. It's, hey, that 3-bedroom in downtown Philly, close to the train or whatever it is, right? And understanding that that's how we should be going after content, is not like making yourself the next Ryan Serhant. It's how can I solve that problem that somebody's going to Google to solve. And so if they're moving to the area, they want to know the best suburbs. They want to know the closest Philly cheesesteak to the house, right? They want to know, like I would be doing that. If I were you guys, like, go after, I want to, instead of Dave Portnoy and like the best pizza, I would be like, where's the best Philly cheesesteak? And you're going to review them top 1 through 5. And you're going to kind of become that local concierge that when anybody goes to Google, you're solving that problem. Does that make sense to everybody? Raise your hand if that makes sense in regards of like what you should be shooting. Okay, cool. Bunch of hands, which is cool. So that's where we start. And so understanding that what you're going to shoot. The second thing is really the consistency. And we can get into like tactics on the YouTube thing, which we definitely will. But the second pillar is the consistency. Like once you understand what you should be shooting and how you should be shooting it, staying massively consistent and committed to this thing will make the difference of you succeeding or not. Most people in our business have tried farming. How many of you guys have tried farming? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you guys have tried an open house before? Okay. So you've all tried these things. Yeah. Now, if you send out one postcard farming or you do one open house, does that make your business? Are you set after you do that once? No, but many people will shoot a video, throw it up on their YouTube channel, throw it up on their Instagram, and they're like, I'm good. Like calls should start coming right away. But it doesn't happen that way. It's committing to that process. You know, if you're a farmer or you're doing open houses or you're doing video, this is something that takes months and months and months to get good at, right? You're refining your message, you're refining how you act on camera, you're refining your thumbnails on your YouTube channel. And after 6 months, you start looking up and like, wow, now I'm starting to get some traction. People are starting to call me. And that's when the magic really happens. And that right there will separate you between everybody else on this call. Is the few of you that will commit to this and be really successful long-term are the people that commit to it. So that's kind of pillar number 2. From there, having a lead gen, the third pillar we're going to talk about is really your lead gen conversion system. So how do you know, when people are reaching out that it's from YouTube? Well, the cool thing is most people will reach out and say, I found you on YouTube. So you'll know it's working. But having a system and a follow-up process of like understanding their motivation and what's important to them and what are they trying to accomplish. And then having a system, whether that's Command or Brivity or Boomtown or wherever you put these people, having that follow-up system to be able to say, when is it time that for you to transact, whether you're buying or selling, that you're going to use me. And so here's the brilliant thing about all of this is that YouTube leads are the best, most low funnel leads you will ever find. They are just as good as a Sphere referral, if not better sometimes, because even a Sphere referral, you need to sell yourself on, hey, I know Mary said I'm a great agent, but let me sit down and talk to you about what we offer. On YouTube, these people are reaching out to us and like, you tell us what to do. You're already our guy. We're not on Zillow looking for 10 other agents. We're not shopping around for a credit. We're not anything. It's just like, I don't know. I didn't expect this. Like there wasn't a Ken teaching this at the time. But my agents love YouTube leads, and you will as well. But figuring out that funnel and understanding like, hey, if they don't buy today, how do I follow up so that you're really, really consistent on the lead gen? And then last becomes your leverage. You know, if you don't have a transaction coordinator already, that probably is your first step, right? We're building this out kind of the same way that MREA builds out TCs, showing assistants, buyer's agents, all the way down. And so we have a team of 23 now, and we have everybody from the marketing side, inside sales agents, and really leverage this up. Now you're probably going to you're not going to start there. You're probably going to start with an editor. If you're on YouTube and you're shooting with your cell phone, you can go to upwork.com or Fiverr. I would write those down. And because most of you are not editors, like I did it all myself. I went on iMovie on my Mac and I figured it out. Don't do that. Like for 40 or 50 bucks, you can hire an editor to edit down your video. And so you're going to walk around downtown Philly or the suburbs of Philly and you're going to be like, hey, this is Ken Pozek. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the top 3 reasons why people are moving to Philly, or the top 3 best places to live if you're looking to move wherever it might be downtown. Or, hey, listen, a lot of people live in the city, but are looking to relocate to the suburbs. So today we're going to talk about the top 5 places people are moving within Philadelphia. Let's get into it, right? And you're going to take that video, send it off to the editor and chunk it down. So I've been talking for like over 10 minutes now. What questions do you guys have so far? Greg, what questions do you have? Go ahead, Michelle. Oh, you got to unmute yourself. Let's see. You're still muted. Hey, Greg, I think you got to unmute Michelle there.
No, here I go.
Oh, there we go. Beautiful.
So thanks, Ken. Great information so far. Your consistency, can you kind of dive into that? What are your consistency levels? Is it once a day, 3 times a day, etc.?
Amazing question. So I think anybody that's starting off on the YouTube journey needs to do this once a week. We're currently doing 2 a week. And so let's kind of go back. I think a lot of folks, we've all been taught that the shorter the videos, the better. What YouTube actually likes is the longer the videos, the better, as long as people are staying on the video. So there's something that YouTube calls average view duration, or AVD. And essentially, if you create a 10-minute long video and people watch 7 minutes of that, that's really, really good. You know, like 70% is like a really good watch time. Now, if you shoot a 2-minute long video and people stay there for 70%, you should now create 3-minute long videos and 4-minute long videos, and then 5, until you kind of get this mix of understanding that, you know, hey, I'm on average shooting an 8-minute long video. People are watching 70% of that. That's a good spot to be. Then all of a sudden, if you go to 15 minutes and it drops, you're like, okay, that video is too long. So you're going to understand like the long form video it matters, like, and it takes a little bit more time to do than like a 3-second TikTok. And so that's why we do once a week. And so consistency in that, I would say once a week for the next 6 months, that's what you should commit to. Lavina asks, what were the websites we were talking about? So Fiverr, Fiverr, everything there starts at $5. It can be people that help you with your thumbnails, which are like those little photos on YouTube that people click on. There also, you can find an editor there. Same thing on Upwork, upwork.com. You can find an editor there, and you just literally put out your job proposal and say, hey, I'm looking for an editor to shoot or to edit a video every week. And then you're going to get a ton of proposals back. And I would suggest when you're starting off looking for an editor that you have at least 3 people that you try out. Send them all the exact same video and say, hey, I have an example over on Ken's channel. I want it to look kind of like this. Here's the raw footage, and you pay 3 of them to do the work. Then you're going to look at everybody's work and say, okay, based on this, I think that this editor is going to be my go-to based on the quality work that they sent back. And so you're editing, you're basically interviewing them trial by fire a little bit that way. So yeah, that's where I would start. So let's go back and feel free to keep answering questions or asking questions in the chat or raise your hand. I'll do my best to call on you guys as we go. But so let's go back a little bit around YouTube and understanding the algorithm, back to pillar 1. So there's 3 things that you really need to pay attention to when you're creating this content. One is like, what videos do I shoot? Like, how do you know what people are already like searching for? You can literally go to google.com and type in the search bar, moving to Philly, Philly real estate, Philly homes for sale, or Philadelphia, whatever, you know, your suburbs and your areas a little bit better than I do. But here's the amazing thing about Google is that it'll have a suggested search bar. It'll drop down. It'll say, if you type in Philly homes, and then all of a sudden there's 6 things that Google will start suggesting. That means that people are actually already searching for those kind of things. So whatever Google fills in the box for you on, that's the video that you shoot. Okay, that's where I would start. We're leading with revenue here, right? Don't make the mistakes that I did, which was spend a ton of money on a bunch of garbage, not understanding how it works. We're going to go free for as long as we can, and then you're going to invest in more stuff from there. So once you do have a little bit of leads coming in and you have a little bit of money to invest in this, I would look at Morning Fame, morningfa.me. And if you need a link, just shoot me a DM on Instagram, and there sometimes requires a referral link. You can also use Tube Buddy, like YouTube, but Tube Buddy. And basically you put in like Philly homes or Philly townhomes or Philly historic homes or whatever it might be that you're thinking about shooting a video on. And it'll tell you based on past history, recent past history, if it's a good video or not, if there's actually any search traffic for that video. And then it'll say, based on that, you might also want to shoot this video. It's a really plug and play kind of thing for you to understand the types of videos that you should be shooting. And so if you're thinking about shooting a video about, maybe the top 5 reasons to buy a home, that's a terrible video because there's no way that you're going to rank for that early on in your journey. Those are like Graham Stephan kind of like big YouTuber sort of things. You want to niche down to your local area so that you have people that are looking in your local area, A, that are calling you, but B, that you have a chance to actually rank for these things. And so Morning Fame and TubeBuddy will tell you based on your current channel if you're going to be able to rank for this as well, which is a really cool thing. So shooting the types of videos, that's how you figure out what you should be shooting. The second thing is your titles. So if you're shooting a video about, again, like a historic townhome, I've got friends that live in Philly and they rehab homes from time to time, and they're always posting on their Instagrams about, you know, these old historic sort of like row houses or brownstones and that kind of thing. And so if you're shooting a video on that, you know, like your new $1 million brownstone for sale, don't title it on YouTube 123 Philly Street. It should be brownstone for sale or inside $1 million brownstone in Philly, right? That's something people are actually going to be searching for. So your titles, which are just basically the literal title of the video, matters a ton because that's what Google looks at and says, what's this video about? Okay, so slowing down and understanding how the titles work is really, really important. The second most important thing is your thumbnail. So your actual photo of the video. YouTube will automatically grab one screenshot of your video and make a thumbnail for you, but you will never, ever use it. You want to go create your own thumbnail that's attention grabbing. So I use PicMonkey, P-I-C Monkey, and they have YouTube thumbnail templates already built in for you. And look at some of the most brilliant YouTubers that have come before us, like Mr. Beast or Casey Neistat or some of these other ones that have attention-getting thumbnails, and look at what they do and sort of recreate stuff like that. There's a lot of psychology in thumbnails and why some stuff works and some stuff doesn't. You'll notice like Mr. Beast always has his face on there for like attention grabbing, A, B, it's branding, and C, like there's something psychological that if you can see the whites of somebody's eyes in a thumbnail, that it's actually more clickable than like just a photo of something else. So why is this important? Because you can create the best video ever, but if nobody actually clicks on the thumbnail, nobody will see it. And so YouTube rewards basically click-through rate. So every time they show somebody your thumbnail in the actual search results, how many people actually click on that? And then they also reward that average view duration that we talked about earlier. So those are like the two metrics that you really focus in on. The third thing would be your description that you want to really understand. So you're not keyword stuffing, for those of you that have like ever blogged before or understand SEO, but the description of the video is actually very, very important. The first 200 characters or so, Google has said that that's how they also know what the video is about. So the title, super important. The description, the first 200 characters or so, you're describing kind of what the video is going to be about. So if it's moving to downtown Philly or buying a brownstone in Philly or whatever it might be, you're going to just sort of describe what that video is about. So honing in on those three things will then allow your videos to get organically found on YouTube. Through that, you're asking people, hey, by the way, if this video was helpful at all, make sure you subscribe or reach out when it's time to move anywhere here in the Philadelphia area. And that's essentially understanding the YouTube at a very high level. So what questions do you guys have around YouTube and or creating content that way?
Genevieve, you're raising your hand.
Yes, I am. Thank you so much. Ken, this is incredible information. Can you please repeat the average view? What was the third word?
Average view duration. So like how long do people watch your videos? And so essentially YouTube's an advertising platform, right? They're a search platform for sure, but they make money off of ads. And so essentially they've decided that the longer you can keep people on the platform, the more that they're going to push your content out to other people. So when people type in moving to Philly, you want to be in the top 3 or 4 videos. The way that they decide if your videos are good or not are how long do people typically watch your video once they land on your channel. And so your job is essentially to figure out, how do I keep people watching this video? And so you do things like a couple hooks, like, hey, today I'm going to talk to you about the 3 best places to live in Philly. And at the end of the video, I'll tell you the one you do not want to live in. Stay tuned. Right. So now people are waiting to the end to figure out, like, where's that one place that I definitely don't want to live in. Right. Or throughout the video, like I tell you one thing, please write this down. If you're getting into content creation, the video is not about you. Like you will never see me start a video off that's like, hey, this is Ken Pozek with Keller Williams, and I've been selling houses for 17 years now. And if you want a real estate agent in Orlando, I want to be your guy. So reach out. Don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. Like, you will never start a video out that way if you want to succeed, because what's going to happen is that people will click off because they don't want to talk. They want to watch a video about some realtor talking about how great they are. They want to learn something. They want to be there to be entertained in one way or the other. And so I don't even talk about me or say my name until the end of the video. And that's the thing that I learned from Gary Vaynerchuk. It was like jab, 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 right hook. You provide a ton of value. It's value, 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 value. And then you come in for the ask at the end. And so you'll notice that at the end of all my videos, hey, by the way, if you're looking to buy or sell a house anywhere in Central Florida, I want to be your real estate resource of choice. Make sure you email us at info@pozekgroup.com. I do that at the end of the video.
That's great.
So think about that.
No, that's awesome. Thank you.
Good. Michelle had another question.
Hi. So, are there any keywords that should be in probably every one of our descriptions, titles, etc.? Are those keywords as important anymore, or should we do the searches, the Google searches, to see what's grabbing everyone's attention that day, that moment in time?
There's a couple of things. So YouTube will eventually peg you and your channel and what it's about. And so for me, like my 5 keywords or my 5 things, there's like moving to, living in, top 5, and a lot of things about Orlando and real estate. And so that is important. You're teaching YouTube essentially what your channel is about. And so, but your titles are going to change from time to time. Like they're not always going to be moving in or living in or whatever. But having Philadelphia or your suburbs, like Michelle, what are some suburbs around Philly that you sell in?
Bucks County, primarily Bucks and Montgomery County, Langhorne, Yard, Town.
Okay. So when people reach out to you and they say, hey, I'm getting relocated to Philly for work, where are some of the areas that they typically like mention? Do they call it by the county, or do they call it like a subdivision or an area?
Yeah, it just depends. A lot of New Yorkers, if they come in and they want to live right on Philly or Pennsylvania side, it's New Hope, just right over the Delaware River. So yeah.
Perfect. So you could do like, transplanting from New York to Philadelphia, or New Hope, or all of these other ones, right? You're going to have multiple different ones, moving to, or investing in, I think would be another one. Investment properties in, or whatever it might be. But it's going to be more like area specific than anything. And then description, you're just explaining to it. The last thing I would tell you, the 4th most important of the tier would be your tags. So tagging your video with very similar ones would be something that I would think about. So a tag would be like moving to Philly, your name, longer tail keywords kind of stuff would be really important to put in those tags. And I would do that on every video, but your title and your description is going to be different on everyone. Greg, you got a question?
Yeah, Ken, two-part. First, I always wondered, is there something we should know about the marriage or the algorithm when taking your YouTube video hyperlink or the URL and putting it on Facebook, if you want to double down on the platform? Mm-hmm. That was the first question, if you want to take that.
Yeah, so never do that. Basically, so Facebook is now a video platform, whether we see it or not. I mean, they have reels, they have stories. They're trying to basically lean in on the fact that there's video. And so you'll notice that anytime you have a YouTube link that you share to Facebook, Facebook will bury that post. I'm typically getting, like, if I post a photo on Facebook, no link, I'll get 200 to 400 likes on average. If I post a link on YouTube, I'll get 3 likes, just because the algorithm, Facebook's like, I don't want you to send people on to another website. And so if you're going to do this, you would upload the video organically and throw in a couple hashtags and a location. And typically that's going to get significantly more views than if you were to share the link.
Thank you. That's very helpful. And the second part was going to be someone that's on this call, Ken, that is still fearful of video, getting in front of a camera.
Yeah.
Talk to us about your first time you grabbed your phone. Were you built for this? Or if you weren't, what was that first win, that moment in your head you said, okay, this works regardless of what I look like, you know, I'm gonna roll with this. This is my new go-to.
So when I first started off, I did 100 videos in 100 days. And really it was just because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Like I didn't know what I didn't know. And so I just got in front of the camera, and through that, having that many at bats, that's when I started getting better at it. And so I would say that consistency in getting in front of the camera is going to help you win. A great way to get better on camera is to use Instagram stories. They're only 15 seconds long at the max. You could have a 5-second story if you want, but like literally pull out your phone on every showing, on every place you go to eat, on every office meeting, on whatever it is. And you're literally just going to be like, you know, hey, so today I'm showing this place in Philly downtown. I think it's great because it's closer to the train, but not too close to where it's loud. And, you know, here's some of the reasons I love it. And then that's it, right? Like you're just going to get more at bats. And the more you do, the better you get. I would also say like don't talk about stuff you don't know about. Like if you're shooting content around where you currently live, you're going to do so much better than if you're like trying to come up with like being the next HGTV star. Right. And so I think that those two things are important. The last thing I would say about getting better on video is understanding that you don't have to talk for 10 minutes straight without a breath or anything like that. Here's how I actually still shoot video today. And I would suggest all of you start this way. Have an outline of what you're going to say, not a script. Do not script it. Do not read off of it like a teleprompter. That's the worst. It makes it seem so inauthentic. But have an outline, like intro. Here's the 2 things I want to talk about in the intro. And then you're going to take your phone or your camera. Hey, today we're going to talk about the top 5 reasons why people are still moving to Philly, even in today's market. End of video. Then the next video. Number 1 is, it's not too far from, you know, whatever. And then you're going to go into what that point is. Point 1, end video. And then 2 and 3 and 4, right? Points of your video. And then now it's time to shoot an outro. Hey, by the way, if you got any value out of this, make sure you reach out, hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be putting out videos every single week about life here in Philly. Okay. Now it's so much easier to break it down into an outline that way and shoot 5 or 6 videos that once edited together is going to get rid of your your likes, your mistakes, leaning in on that editor, understanding that they're going to make it look amazing at the end. That is a brilliant way to be able to get through your content, to feel a little bit more comfortable on camera, understanding that you're not having to try to talk for 10 minutes or 5 minutes without any mistakes, because we all make mistakes. So I would say that that's a big one if you're going to take away. Genevieve asks, should it be portrait or landscape? For YouTube, always landscape. For Instagram, always portrait. So you're not going to be able to cross and use the same video for each. You're going to have to shoot them natively, you know, the way that they want to be seen. But yeah, YouTube is always landscape. Lavinia says, when creating thumbnails, is it important to get the shot from posing in a video and not taking the picture, correct? You could do either. There's plenty of people that like literally pose for a video, you know. I usually think of it this way. I think about, okay, what video am I shooting? What's the title going to be? And then I start thinking about immediately, what's my thumbnail going to be? So before I even shoot the video, what's the thumbnail going to be? What is it that I need to get when I'm out and about? Do I need to get any kind of like shot of a house or shot of that downtown marquee that I need to be on the thumbnail? Do I need to have a good like posed video or posed photo to go on the thumbnail? And so I'm thinking of those things ahead of time and then taking photos, bringing it all together in PicMonkey. And that's the way that we go about it. Let's see, Jeffrey, go ahead, unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi. Great, really great stuff. So my question is, so the importance of doing lots of videos, getting ranked so you appear high on the Google stream. So what happens with your first 1 or 2 videos? How do you differentiate yourself so you can make those first videos worthwhile?
So I would say that you could easily send this out to your database, right? So that actually starts to show up. The fact that you might only get 10 or 20 views, that's just par for the course. My first videos, you can go back, I've shot over 400 videos now. My first videos still only have 30 or 40 views, just par for the course. If you shoot a really good video and here's an amazing thing about YouTube is like, you can actually always go back and redo your thumbnail, redo your title until you find one that hits, like that. It's not like once you post it, it's done. You can't do anything, which I love, because a lot of times I'll post something, maybe it's not taking off, getting the traction that I want. I'll go back, change the thumbnail, change the title until it starts to, but that's just par for the course, man. Unfortunately, your first videos probably won't get, your first 50 videos might not get a ton. But going back to the thing that I said early on is that it's going to help you solve a lot of things. Shoot some content for your database. Like, what does your database care about beyond what's going on with interest rates or values of homes? I mean, like, think about yourself as a consumer. If you're getting an email every week from your agent who sold you a house 2 years ago, and you're not moving for the next 5 years easily, do you care about what most realtors send? I mean, how many times can you send an apple pie recipe or interest rate update or market update for your neighborhood, like, before people just tune out and don't care? So we've created a whole process around, like, every single week we send out a newsletter. Part of it is our YouTube video for the week, so we get more clicks. But then also we talk about our neighborhoods, like what's going on, what's that new restaurant that opened, what's we call ours the Orlando Reel, and we've got about 17,000 people that get the Orlando Reel every week. Again, part of that's our YouTube video. The rest of it is like theme parks and life in Orlando, because we live in Orlando, theme park capital of the world. So we talk a little bit about Disney. We talk a little bit about the best tacos. We talk about just a little bit of everything to kind of like be that concierge for our database to remember us between the time that they buy and 10 years from now when they sell. And so we have like a massive open rate. We get like 40% open rate on the list of that 18,000 people at this point. So we've curated it fairly well. And so anyways, that's the way we're getting a ton of database referrals. Also, way that you can kick off your channel by getting some views. So that's what I would do. Hopefully that's helpful.
Hey, Ken.
Hey,
Hey.
Ken, Vinny's here.
Hey.
I have a 2-part question. First of all, I love the name of your channel, Orlando Reel.
Thank
So
you.
is that really important, what you name it?
My YouTube channel is Ken Pozek. So there's no like SEO juice around your name. And so the name of the channel. So we call it Orlando Reel just because it's like, kind of a play on real estate, but then also like outside of the theme parks or outside of real estate, like what is Orlando about? So that's just the name we came up with for the newsletter.
Also, do you sit down like every month or year and plan out what you like an outline for the year of what you want to shoot?
So I'd say as a new agent without your channel, you should plan out your next 10 videos, because it will be really tough when you start thinking, oh, the first 2 are easy, and then the next one maybe, and eventually you'll kind of like run out of steam if you don't have those first 10 at least titles. You don't need to plan out every video, but just create a note on your phone or write it down, your first 10 videos and what those are going to be. And then through that, you'll start picking up some momentum. So I don't sit down and shoot our whole year because things change too much for me to do it. Like, I have a series that I call Coming Soon to Orlando, and it's one of the 3 in the buckets of my YouTube videos. And so that I shoot on a weekly basis. And it's really just kind of telling the news from my perspective. So that's really not planned out, but I know that I'm shooting that video, and then I need to sit down and look at the news and pull out the news stories that I want to talk about every week. And then from there, I do batch shooting. So every Thursday morning at 8:30, we typically sit down, my videographer and I, and we shoot 2 videos. And basically, some of those are going to be videos that I release this week. Other ones might be a month or 2 from now. And so I think the batch shooting thing is really, really big. So for those of you guys starting out, if you have your 10 videos, you might sit down and shoot 3 all at once, right in front of your camera. You might not be out and about showing off town. That's a really smart thing to do as well, just to kind of keep yourself consistent. Go ahead, Jeff, raising his hand again.
Yeah, a couple questions. What are the demographics of most of the viewers? Age demographics is what is my big concern. And number two, I'm usually, when I do my business with my clients, I'm like a shirt and tie kind of guy like Greg. And I don't know how well but that's me. So how well is that going to go over with the age demographic of who's watching the YouTube video?
Yeah, so I shoot for the demographic I'm going for. So my ideal client is between 45 and 60, and they're looking maybe a little bit more affluent. And so I shoot accordingly. That said, I'm in Florida, so I can wear a t-shirt and jeans and it's totally acceptable. So know your market and know your demographic. If you look at YouTube in general, the average person looking at YouTube is somewhere in their 40s. But then again, like literally every morning I wake up, and my kids usually wake up before me, and they're on YouTube watching videos. And it's gaming videos and Roblox and Minecraft and Mr. Beast and all that kind of thing. So there's a demographic for 10-year-olds, and there's going to be a demographic for 60-something plus year olds. So you shoot for the person that you're going after. And that's the thing I love about YouTube is like our average sales price on my team is over $500,000, but the average sales price for Orlando is only $340, because we're shooting content in that, looking for those people between $500,000 and $1 million. And, the homes that we show off are in that area, in that price point of the person that we want to call. Does that make sense? So if you're looking for the suit and tie kind of person, and that's normal for your area, you're looking for that professional, you want to act as if and go after that. So if you're looking for the more chill vibes, younger crowd, maybe you don't wear a 3-piece. And so, just got to know your audience.
Got it.
Any other questions?
There was one in the chat. Do you get all your info or facts from Google?
Yeah, I subscribe to 4 or 5 different news organizations here locally. And so it's like the Orlando Business Journal. There's a website called construction.com, which is actually, it's quite expensive. Don't do it right away, but it talks about all the permitting and stuff coming to the area. And then there's probably a Philly Business Journal and a Philly Sentinel and all these other places. I just usually triangulate 5 or 6 different media outlets, and then I come up with my own spin. So it's like, there's a Disney thing going on here where it was like Governor DeSantis got rid of their special exemption and it could affect homeowners. So I shot a video about that, and a very non-politically biased. I'm like, hey, it was like facts. Hey, here's what DeSantis and the Republicans in Florida did. Here's how I think it's, and here's what Disney currently has, and here's how I think it's going to affect you as a homeowner. And it was literally, I was getting comments. I got 25,000 views in the past 4 days on that video. And the comments were all like, this was the most non-biased view. I really appreciate the way that you stated the facts and what you think might come out from the outcomes. And so that's the way I go about it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Quick question. In the very beginning, you were talking about, I guess they were the 4 pillars.
Yep.
And you were going so fast there, I didn't get a chance to get down the first 2. I got the 3rd and 4th, which is the lead gen engine you were referring to, and leverage. What were the first 2 again?
So understanding, the first one would be like understanding the thing that you're going to do. So like if it's YouTube, you're going hard on YouTube, understanding the inner workings of YouTube and understanding like how it all works, the type of videos you should shoot, the thumbnails, the titles, understanding like the thing. The second thing would be being massively consistent in whatever you decide to do, right? So if you're going to go after for sale by owners, being massively consistent and having those 4, 5, 6 pillars that you're going to go after and how you're going to get after those things. The third thing would be like lead conversion, like understanding, okay, now I've got leads kind of coming in. How do I convert those? What's my system for that? So that I actually can keep being consistent and keep doing the content. Because if you don't have lead conversion, like you'll stop being consistent, you'll stop shooting, right? So having that in your mind of like, once a lead comes in, what do I do? And then the fourth thing would be leverage, like understanding, like, are you going to get an editor? Are you going to have buyer's agents? Are you going to, what's your leverage look like before you kind of get into it?
Great, thank you.
Ken, I have one more question.
Yeah, hit me.
So do you, the lead generation, pillar number 3, it's talked about systems and follow up for the process and understanding the funnel of, you know, who's your low hanging fruit, etc. Do you have anything that's kind of foolproof or that you can share with us that can kind of help us understand that? Or can you dive into it a little bit more today?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what our system looks like now, and then you can kind of pick apart what you can pick and use for yours where you're at. So right now, like I would say, if you're going to shoot video, don't put your cell phone and don't put your personal email on it anywhere, because eventually you're going to want some sort of ISA or some person. Like we get on a low day, we get 10 leads. On a really good day, we get 30 leads from YouTube. And so like, there's no way I can keep up with all of those people calling my cell phone. And it's just a really bad look when people are like so excited to talk to you and then you don't answer the phone or your voicemail's full. And so I would say, so picking like a call fire number, a Google number, something you can track and that you can also forward somewhere else. Say you have a couple agents and they have lead day and you reroute those to people, whatever that might be. And then I have a separate email. So info@pozekgroup.com is where it goes on all of our marketing. So our ISA is the one answering that specific email. Again, just so that takes me out of the way. Now you might be answering the phone and answering the email originally, but having a system to where you can eventually send that somewhere else, I think is really wise. Worst case scenario, it stays you forever, but at least you understand where your leads are coming from. And you can track this, right? Because what you can track and measure, you can improve on. So, so that would be step number 1. 2, like our ISAs now that answer the phones, they typically dig into motivation and they say, okay, so tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you looking to move? Where are you moving from? Why is that important? What's your price point? What's your timing? Tell me about your family situation. Do you have kids? Are schools important? Where's work going to be? Do you want to be within 30 minutes of work, an hour of work? Tell me a little bit about that. And then they say, based on that, you know who I know Ken would really want you to work with is Geo, because Geo lives in that area and knows it like the back of his hand. And a lot of times they push back and they're like, well, we want to work with Ken. Oh no, Ken definitely works with clients still. But as you can imagine, you know, as his schedule books up, he wants to keep really, really high levels of engagement and success with his clients. And based on that, I know he'd want you to work with Geo. And after that, it's no problem. So then they forward that lead over to Geo. Geo follows up. They also put it into Brivity. We use Brivity as our CRM. And so, and it says, you know, John Smith came from YouTube. Here's all the notes, on and on and on. And then we make a decision. If they're buying or selling within the next 90 days, that's when the agent gets to follow up. If not, there's a tickler system on YouTube or on Brivity that says, you know, hey, follow up with the person in 30 days, follow up with the person in 45 days, whatever that might be. If they say they're going to be moving in 6 months, great. We start following up with them 2 months from now, because, you know, that timeline could always change. And so having that system, again, we use Brivity. We've got it dialed in to where it's like, you know, our agents log in on a daily basis. They know the tasks that they have to go through. They know the calls they need to make, and our ISAs do as well. And so we don't miss, like we don't, like no lead goes, you know, doesn't get answered. And that's why, like, even if you're sending me an agent referral, like it goes to our inside salespeople, and they're like former Disney people. They love on them for 15 minutes and they're super high and just, you know, they're going to leave that call feeling like amazing. And then they get, you know, passed off to the best agent. And so we've got a massively high conversion rate on our agent referrals because we have a system for it. And so that's what I would say, you know, wherever you're at, just creating that system and then doing it every time will allow you to succeed. Cool.
Anybody else? Because at some point, the next question is going to go to Geo.
Exactly. Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate it, Genevieve. So yeah, that's our system. That's what we're doing. And so from here, we're creating a new media company. So the Orlando Reel is becoming its own media company. I've got 2 independent writers. And so it's like, I'm going to take over all local news. And so we become the resource for everybody in Orlando. So whether you're just interested in Disney and maybe you sign up, or you live here, we want to be the go-to for news. And so instead of clickbaity crap, which is what most news is, we're going into like history and, you know, the top places to eat, or that mom and pop shop that's been open for 50 years and telling their story. And my goal is like, if I get 100,000 people on our newsletter, I know statistically 10% of those, so 1,000 people or 10,000 people are going to move of that every year. And so whether they live in Denver or they live in Orlando, we want to be their real estate resource of choice and also their news outlet. And so the Pozek Group becomes the only sponsor on this news organization and this newsletter. And so we've been doing it now for 6 months, and we're starting to close deals every month from it now. And so that's kind of like our future of our team and what we're going to do. So yeah, that's where we're at.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So now that you're all advanced, you're doing all the 250 sides a year. You're not spending a lot of time doing this personally, other than doing the video. So what are your costs initially? What would be reasonable costs to get started if you hired somebody to do all this, who's an expert at it? Certainly, you know, you said you did 100 videos, took all this time. I don't want to take all this time. I want to just get someone to do, to do it, get on it, and start getting leads from it.
Yep.
It's too tedious a task for me. I'm an old guy, not a social media expert, never will be, don't want to be, but I could pay somebody to do it. So
Yeah.
how do I broach that?
So you could either, so I would, if I were in your situation, like if I was starting over where I already have a successful business and I could invest in somebody, you're probably going to pay a videographer somewhere in the $50,000 to $60,000 range to come on your team full time. More talent. It is getting to be tough. Philly is also more expensive than Orlando. You might pay more than that, right? And understanding, can I pay this person's salary for the next 6 months before I start getting any kind of ROI? It's a big ask, but you could also start over on the freemium side where you're hiring an editor. You're looking at probably $50 to $60 a video to get it edited. So you're shooting it yourself, you're sending it over to them, $50 to $60. Now on the same website, you can hire somebody to do your thumbnails and all the other kind of stuff for like $20, so you're all in on a video for less than $100 to start, not having the videographer following you around, but like just shooting it on your webcam or shoot it on your phone and you're updating it for less than $100. And here's the brilliant thing is like, you own that video. That video is going to continue to create content or create leads for you forever. Whereas a Zillow lead that's $200 and converts like garbage, it's gone, that quickly. So that's where I would start on the freemium side. And then if you want to invest in somebody coming on full time, it's probably going to be in that, $50,000 to $60,000 range to start. And here's a cool thing, like I would do if I were you, is like find a videographer who does like weddings, that is busy every weekend, but has like free time Monday through Friday. And so go to Instagram, type in Philly wedding photographer. There's going to be dozens and dozens to choose from. And you can reach out to them and say, hey, listen, I want to do this YouTube thing. I'm willing to commit to you for the next 6 months. What can you do on a per deal basis or a per video basis to start working with me? This is what I want to do. Look at Ken's channel. How do we rip off and duplicate this? And that's a really great place to start as well.
All right, Ken. Well, thank you so much for your time. In addition to your presentation, my other favorite part was watching Genevieve's mind explode on multiple occasions when she was just like, oh my God. No, but this was top 5 powerful Zooms, I would say, in my 2-year tenure, without a doubt. So I can't thank you enough. We will watch your next video for what the hot new restaurant is coming to Orlando. So we'll get you a gift card.
I appreciate it, man.
Anything else? Last minute?
That's the big stuff. You just got to go implement now. I mean, the biggest thing is like on any of these Zooms, you're going to learn a ton, but now it comes down to like actually going to do the thing. So you'll stumble along the way. And that's the cool part is that we just, none of us have it all figured out. We're just getting along the way. So if you have any questions, follow me over Instagram at Ken Pozek. I answer my DMs every day. So happy to help any way I can.
Thanks for being so approachable, Ken, and leaning in. I really appreciate it. Take care.
You well. Bye.
Bye now. See you, everybody.